Imagine a fortress. It has walls made of stone that are 10 feet thick. It has gates of iron that no battering ram can break. Inside this fortress, the people are safe. They are calm. They are happy. Outside the fortress, the world is burning. There are wars. There are plagues. There are people screaming in anger. There are people crying in despair. The chaos beats against the walls like an ocean storm, but it never gets inside. Now, imagine that this fortress is not a building, it is your mind. Most people live their lives without walls. When something bad happens, a breakup, a lost job, a rude comment, it walks right into their mind and destroys their peace. They are slaves to their circumstances. They are tossed around by emotions they cannot control. They are happy when things go well. They are miserable when things go wrong. They are puppets, and the world holds the strings. But there is a different way to live. There is a way to build that fortress in your mind, a way to stand in the middle of a chaotic, unfair, and painful world and remain completely unshaken. This is not a fantasy. This is a discipline. It is a discipline that was practiced by emperors who ruled the world. It was practiced by slaves who had nothing. It was practiced by soldiers facing death. It is called Stoicism. You might think Stoicism means having no emotions. You might think it means being a robot, but that is a lie. True Stoicism is not about suppressing emotion. It is about mastering it. It is about understanding that you cannot control what happens to you, but you have absolute, godlike power over how you respond. In a world that is becoming more anxious, more fragile, and more easily offended, Stoicism is the ultimate superpower. It is the art of being undefeatable. In this video, we are going to hand you the blueprints to that fortress. We are going to study the great masters, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, and we are going to teach you the specific mental tools you need to become invincible. To understand Stoicism, we have to go back 2,000 years to the dusty streets of Athens and the marble halls of Rome. The philosophy was born in a time of chaos. The Roman Empire was constantly at war. Plagues were killing millions. Tyrants were murdering their rivals. Life was brutal. Life was short. And yet, in the middle of this brutality, 3 men emerged who found a way to be happy. The first was Epictetus. He was born a slave. His name literally means acquired. He had a master who was cruel and violent. According to legend, his master twisted his leg until it broke, leaving him crippled for life. Epictetus owned nothing, not even his own body, but he realized something profound. He realized that while his master could own his leg, his master could not own his mind. His master could force him to limp, but could not force him to be angry about it. He taught that freedom is not about your physical status, it is a mental state. The second man was Seneca. He was the richest man in Rome. He was a playwright, a politician, and the advisor to the Emperor Nero. He had everything a man could want: power, money, fame. But he knew it was all temporary, and he was right. Eventually, Nero turned on him and ordered him to commit suicide. Seneca faced death with total calm. He didn't beg, he didn't cry, he simply opened his veins and discussed philosophy until he died. He showed us that a Stoic can have wealth, but he must be ready to lose it all in a second without complaining. The third man was Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome, the most powerful man on earth. He could have anything he wanted. He could kill anyone he disliked. He could indulge in every pleasure, but instead of being a tyrant, he was a philosopher. He spent his life fighting wars on the chaotic borders of the empire. He lost children to sickness. He was surrounded by people trying to betray him. At night, in his tent, surrounded by the smell of blood and mud, he wrote a journal to himself. He never intended for anyone to read it. Today, we call that journal Meditations. It is the greatest book on self-improvement ever written. These three men, a slave, a rich politician, and an emperor, had nothing in common on the outside, but on the inside, they shared the same secret. They understood that the world is unpredictable. They understood that you will lose things you love. They understood that people will treat you badly, but they also understood that none of this matters, because the only thing that matters is your character. The only thing that matters is the integrity of your own mind. Stoicism is not a religion. You don't have to pray to a god. You don't have to believe in an afterlife. It is a practical toolkit for surviving reality. It is an operating system for the human brain that prevents it from crashing when life gets hard. And the core of this operating system is a single, powerful concept.
The foundation of all Stoic thought is called the Dichotomy of Control. Epictetus opens his handbook with this sentence: "Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us." It sounds simple, almost too simple, but if you truly understand this, it will change your life instantly. What is up to us? Our opinions, our impulses, our desires, our aversions. In short, whatever is our own doing. What is not up to us? Our body, our property, our reputation, our command. In short, whatever is not our own doing. Most human suffering comes from trying to control things that are not up to us. You are anxious because you want people to like you, but you cannot control their opinion. Their opinion is in their mind, not yours. By pinning your happiness on their approval, you have given them the key to your fortress. You have made yourself a slave. You are angry because you are stuck in traffic, but you cannot control the traffic. The traffic is an external event. Your anger does not move the cars. It only destroys your peace. You are depressed because you are getting old, but you cannot control time. Time marches on whether you cry about it or not. The Stoic looks at these things and says, "This is external, therefore it is nothing to me." This does not mean they don't care. It means they do not attach their happiness to the outcome. They might prefer not to be stuck in traffic, but if they are stuck, they accept it immediately and focus on what they can control. They can control their reaction. They can listen to an audiobook. They can practice patience. They can use the time to think. This is the shift from being a victim to being an agent. A victim says, "The world is doing this to me." An agent says, "The world is happening, and I am choosing how to respond." The second core concept is Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. In the modern world, we hide death. We put it in hospitals. We don't talk about it. We pretend we are going to live forever. The Stoics did the opposite. They kept death right in front of their eyes. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This sounds morbid, but it is actually incredibly life-affirming. When you realize that this day could be your last, do you really want to spend it arguing on the internet? Do you really want to spend it worrying about what your boss thinks of you? Death strips away the bullshit. It clarifies what is important. If you knew you were going to die tomorrow, you wouldn't be embarrassed to tell someone you love them. You wouldn't be afraid to take a risk. You wouldn't waste time on petty grievances. The Stoic uses death as a tool to prioritize life.
The third concept is Amor Fati, a love of fate. This is the hardest discipline of all. It is not just accepting what happens, it is loving what happens. Nietzsche, who was heavily influenced by the Stoics, described it best. He said, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it." Imagine you lose your job. The average person panics. They feel like a failure. They complain about the economy. The Stoic accepts it. Okay, I have lost my job. This is now the reality. But the master, the one who practices Amor Fati, says, good, this job was holding me back. Now I have the freedom to find something better. Now I have the challenge of testing my resilience. I will use this obstacle to become stronger. The Stoic treats every event in life as fuel for the fire. If you throw wood into a fire, the fire doesn't say, "Oh no, wood." The fire consumes the wood and burns brighter. If you throw an obstacle at a Stoic, they consume the obstacle and become better. Sickness makes them practice patience. Loss makes them practice detachment. Difficult people make them practice kindness. There is no such thing as bad luck to a Stoic. There is only raw material for virtue.
So, how do we build this fortress? How do we take these ancient ideas and use them on a Tuesday morning when we are late for work? Here are 3 practical exercises you can start today. Exercise 1, the morning preparation, premeditatio malorum. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius would tell himself this: "Today I shall meet people who are interfering, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and unsocial." He didn't wake up expecting a perfect day. He woke up expecting difficult people. Why? Because if you expect people to be annoying, you are not surprised when they are. You don't get angry. You think, here is the arrogant person I expected, just like Marcus said. Before you start your day, visualize what could go wrong. Visualize your car breaking down. Visualize your meeting going badly. Visualize getting into a fight with your partner. And then, visualize yourself handling it with calm. If you rehearse the worst-case scenario, you rob it of its power. Anxiety comes from the unknown. If you have already lived through the disaster in your mind, the reality is never as scary. Exercise 2, the view from above. When you are stressed, your vision narrows. You get tunnel vision. You obsess over your specific problem like it is the most important thing in the universe. He didn't text me back. I got a parking ticket. Someone was rude to me. The Stoics practiced zooming out. Close your eyes and imagine lifting out of your body. Look down at your house, then zoom out to your city, then your country, then the planet Earth floating in space. See the millions of people going about their lives. See the wars being fought. See the babies being born. See the people dying. From this perspective, how big is your parking ticket? How important is that rude comment? It is microscopic. This exercise reminds you that you are a tiny part of a massive interconnected cosmos. It humbles you, and paradoxically, it comforts you. It reminds you that your problems are temporary and insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Exercise 3, voluntary discomfort. Seneca advised that we should set aside certain days where we eat little, wear cheap clothes, and sleep on the floor. Why? To practice poverty so that we may not fear it. We are terrified of losing our comfort, so we become slaves to it. We won't take risks because we might lose our nice apartment,
or our fancy car. But if you practice being uncomfortable, you realize it isn't that bad. Take a cold shower, fast for 24 hours, sleep without a pillow, leave your phone at home for a day. Prove to yourself that you can survive without luxury. When you know you can be happy with nothing, you become fearless. You can take the risky job. You can speak your mind. You can walk away from a bad negotiation, because the worst thing they can do is take away your comfort, and you already know you don't need it. This is what makes you undefeatable. You are not undefeatable because you always win. You are undefeatable because you cannot be broken by losing. Stoicism is not easy. It goes against our biology. Our biology wants us to scream when we are hurt. It wants us to chase pleasure and run from pain. Building the fortress takes time. You will fail. You will get angry. You will get anxious. That is okay. Even Marcus Aurelius struggled. He wrote his meditations because he needed to remind himself every single day. But if you stick with it, if you practice the dichotomy of control, if you embrace your fate, you will discover a strength you didn't know you had. You will become a rock in the ocean. The waves will crash against you, day after day, year after year. But when the storm clears, you will still be standing, unmoved, unbroken, and at peace. This is the promise of Stoicism. Not a life without pain, but a life without fear. Now, we have talked about how to control your mind, but sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't the world outside, it is the chemistry inside. There is a powerful neurotransmitter that controls your motivation, your focus, and your cravings. If you don't master it, it will master you. If you want to understand the neuroscience of motivation and how to regain control of your brain, click the video appearing on your screen now about the dopamine detox. I will see you there.